Profiles with Jason Patterson. Glad to have you with us as we reflect upon the football life of former University of South Carolina captain and wide receiver Toby Cates. Toby, first of all, let me say thanks for taking time to sit down with us. It's truly a pleasure to talk with you.
It's always a pleasure. Anytime I can just give back and just talk about things that's positive, it's always a great opportunity.
Given the opportunity to sum up your life and your career in just a word or two or a phrase or two, how would you go about doing that?
Basically, I would just say hard working and then fulfillment and enjoyment. Those would probably be the words that come to my mind just off the top of my head. I really had a great time. I was just thankful for the opportunity Almighty Father gave me, and I just said every moment that I had, just took advantage of every moment that I had, an opportunity.
Well, a lot of folks may not realize the amount of hard work that goes into the type of life that you've had. I mean, these are choices that are made all along the way. These are intentional pursuits. It doesn't happen by accident that you end up with a life like Toby Cates.
It doesn't. It's a lot of hard work. A lot of people don't know, like me playing quarterback in high school. A lot of people talk about me playing quarterback. But I had never played quarterback before in my life until my ninth grade year. Coach Davis moved me. And I could always throw a football and different things like that, but it was all about technique and form because I wanted to be the best. And actually, I mimicked Todd Ellis. I stood in front of a mirror and I just mimicked his throw about 1,000 times, just trying to get my form down the pat. So that was very hard trying to get that down, but I wanted to be great. And I had a great mentor in Doc Davis on it. And even going to college, I had never played wide receiver in my life, never played DB in my life. Even though I knew I was not going to play on Saturday when I was redshirted, I gave so much effort during the week to give our guys, make them prepared to play on Saturday. And I remember Coach Woods telling me, he said, I can't wait for you to touch the field. So just working on those small things that I had never done before, but wanted to go out and compete and be on the field was something that was very mental to me. And I had to do extra to get there because most people had already played that position. They were recruited at that position to play. And I had to go in there and step in and work harder to become the athlete that I could be.
Let's talk about Inman. If you had to sum it up in a word or two, what would it be?
Paradise. That's what it is. It's just paradise. It's just like every time I go back there, I just take a deep breath and just feel at home. Paradise.
Give us a window into just what it was like growing up there in the Chapman community there in Inman, South Carolina, just how much it shaped your life.
It shaped my life tremendously. I mean, I just remember growing up on Bethune Heights. Every day we woke up doing something different. We didn't have the luxuries of having bats, so we took broomsticks and we took tennis balls when we could find them. So we figured, hey, if we can use a broomstick and hit a tennis ball, we definitely could use a baseball bat. We played touch football in the streets. We played tackle on hills. Anywhere we could find grass, we were doing certain things. We played all day long, you know what I'm saying? That was the best thing because we were just so tight and so knit. Being able to go to the park and play basketball, we didn't have like the best goals, so we would take tire rims and actually nail them to a tree. And that would be our basketball goal. Sometimes we would have backboards, sometimes we didn't have backboards. So if we didn't have backboards, that means you had to hit all net, because we didn't have any nets, but just putting it through the rim. So things like that was so hard, for us to do. When we started getting the real stuff, shooting in the real basketball goal, and hitting real balls and doing stuff, it was so much easier for us because we had worked with nothing, to become something. But most thing was just family, everybody was sitting out on the porch, all the grandmothers of most people, they sat out on that porch and they waved at you and did different things to make sure that you wasn't doing the wrong thing. So we had a lot of guidance from a lot of elderly people in the neighborhood who would also put their hands on you too if you would do it, because we was one big community here. So I think that helped build us as a community and as a family and as people in general.
That's a journey back in time right there, Toby Cates, and the challenges that you had to overcome and really the creativity, the necessary innovation that was required of you just to do the basic things, certainly building blocks in who you've become and how your life ended up turning out. Now, that entire community embraced you during your high school years because of the success that you were able to have and your teammates around you. Walk us through those days and what it was like to be the toast of the town and really experience the fullness of the success that came with your high school career.
That was extremely, it's just some things I still think about to this day of changing really a culture. When it started with the coaches, Coach Davis and them having a belief in different things, and we came in and bought into the belief. We played, most of us who played as younger players, like freshmen and sophomores on this team. We start building, we start seeing what we could do. We would actually walk to practice in the morning and lift weights. Then after that, we would come back and throw in the afternoon time. So, we did a lot of stuff that, helped make us great. But once we started getting on that winning tradition, I remember us playing Woodruff. Even before we got out of school, there was people in the stands. So you look around and see all these cars, and you see hundreds of people already in the stands sitting and waiting. It was just great. And that's when we became basically a travel team. Everybody from Inman, like they say, if you want to go rob Inman, come on a Friday night, because nobody was at home, and we traveled well. We hadn't beat teams in a long time, and we started coming and beating teams. But I can say about all the players on that team, we was all still humble. There was really truly no superstars. I didn't really know what being a superstar was at the time, because I was amongst friends of mine, and they didn't look at me like I was a star or anything, and I didn't look at them like they was a star. I was on a team with Anthony Smith again, who was a back-to-back Spartanburg Harold Joyner Player of the Year. He was just so humble. So just by seeing him being humble and everybody around me being humble, we just embraced it as saying, hey, we just can do something positive that can last for a long time. And that's what we did. But like I say, it was just so much fun during those times in Inman, South Carolina, just to put us on the map so people could start realizing, hey, Inman has something up there. They got a community that's tight-knit, and that has lasted for a long time in Inman, South Carolina, no matter what their teams are doing now, which I am very proud of what they have done and what they accomplished, because what we did was try to set, basically, like we came to a path, and I always say this, and we looked to the right and the left. Well, instead of going, we just went straight. We just made our own path. And hopefully we would keep that path open so other teams could follow. So that's just been a big thing for us to be basically the first class to actually put, Chapman on the map as far as winning and starting tradition.
That's a valuable formula, not just for athletics. That's a valuable formula for life when you talk about being a trailblazer and providing a path that others can follow. But what a privilege it would be to go back to those Tuesday afternoon barbershop conversations and Saturday morning restaurant table conversations. Take us back there. Give us a memory or two that has always stuck with you from your high school playing days, Toby.
Most athletes go back to that Woodruff game again. That was the first time, and it's ironic when you hear people say Chapman hadn't beat Woodruff in like 44 years or 44 times or something like that. It was like, wow, and just seeing, remember the big hit that John Paul Petty actually hit on one of the guys, and he actually picked it up for a fumble close to the end zone and actually put the ball, basically in the end zone to win that game. That was probably the most, and like I say, it's not all about me. It was more of my teammates doing different things, because our defense was lights out. They played lights out and just did that. So that was probably the best feeling. And actually going to Woodruff. When we went to Woodruff the next year, Woodruff had never lost when they wore gold pants on homecoming, and they had us on homecoming. And Coach Davis, I remember walking in the stands, they had a big old sign, had crack cakes. Biggest sign I had ever seen. And they had crack cakes on it. And we was out there, it was cold and it was windy, and I really wouldn't feel like playing. I wanted to play, but of course wanted to play, but just didn't have that fire inside of me they started chanting different things and saying negative things. And I just remember taking off a couple shirts and just getting warmed up. And I remember throwing the football and had the wind behind my back. And I threw this ball probably about 80 yards. And I remember one of the guys saying, "We in trouble tonight." I remember walking out to the game, and Coach Davis has never been a flashy person or never been anything about celebrating. And we was coming out to the game, and he said, "Toby, get the fans up." I looked at him. He said, "Get the fans up." And all I did was just raise my hand. Everybody on their whole Chapman sticks and just stood up and started yelling. Matter of fact, I got chill bumps on my arm right now. I'm telling this story. And we actually came out and beat Woody for the first time in those gold pants in Woody Barnes' career. That was just a great memory going down there and, like I say, playing against those guys.
That's the intensity of those old days, huh? And you can go back for that reason, for moments like that, that allows you to go back into that Inman community and still be celebrated as a hero to this very day, not only for what you did on the field, but for many of the things that you've always represented off the field. You talked about mimicking Todd Ellis. Your journey takes you from Chapman High School to Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia. Why Carolina, Toby?
It was just the best fit for me. A lot of people had offered me, but it was some of it was an athlete and some of it was actually playing quarterback. And Coach Davis told me something one day. He said, if you wasn't playing quarterback for a team and you had to play another position, which team would you pick? So I started looking at rosters of the whole team and started seeing that Carolina had a bunch of receivers and a bunch of DBs basically with juniors, so they was older. So I said, well, if I don't play quarterback, maybe I can play receiver or DB or something. And since they're older guys, maybe I can get on the field. And at the time, too, my girlfriend was also pregnant, so I was expecting my first child. And I wanted to be close to home. I wanted my mother and my father and everybody in my family to be able to come to my games. That was something big for me, too. And, you know, and just being around that and just growing up, and I wanted to be a part of, you know what I'm saying, my child's life. So the opportunity that, you know, being able to play and being closer to home was a great thing for me.
The choices you have to make in moments like that involve life context, not just what's best for Toby Cates, not just what you're wanting to do, but that's one moment among many in your life where you've had to take everything in perspective and make a choice that's best for everybody involved.
Yes, that was something I learned at a younger age in making decisions in my life that to help benefit me down the road.
You're walking among those legends, still legendary figures in the minds of many around this state there at Carolina. You talked about idolizing some of the guys that you eventually would end up playing with. That must have been something special too, Toby, just to walk into that locker room and be surrounded by those type guys you'd already been looking up to.
Seeing people, you know, like Corey Miller, Gerald Dixon was very inspirational, and, you know, especially like me, Tony Watkins, and some other guys' career. You know, Gerald got to play in the NFL for about 10 or 12 years, but he had to take the hard route. You know, Gerald had to go to junior college first and then, you know, come to South Carolina. And Robert Brooks, and then starting to see how good Eddie Miller was, and different things like that. And, you know, I took a lot from them because I played defense my first year. So I was actually trying to cover those guys. And so when I moved to receiver, what I did was the same things that gave me trouble, I just did it to the defensive backs that was trying to cover me. So at the same time I was covering them and doing different things, I was actually learning from them also.
Not a bad quarterback tossing the ball in your direction, though, the guy that ended up being your QB for the majority of your time.
That's right, Steve Tannehill. He is, you know, a great friend of mine. I just love him. You know, and Steve was one of the ones, didn't have probably the best form. He wasn't probably the most athletic. But one thing about him, you know, he was fiery and he was on your team and he was willing to do different things. You know, as soon as he stepped in the huddle, he said, listen, I didn't come here to throw the ball 5 yards to the running back. I come to push the ball down the field and give us a chance to win. You could tell in the huddle that a lot of people just believed in him, and they believed also in me, because sometimes they would know the plays like the linemen. And when they call that corner route, Steve would look at me and say, man, just get open, I'm going to get you the ball. And the lineman would be like, if we can just hold them off for one play, it's going to be a touchdown, and we'd be on the sideline. So, you know, and we had all come in together with most of the offensive linemen that was playing, and we was all great friends. You know, we worked through those first couple of years of just being the group that was going to come in and help change, you know, a lot of things at South Carolina, and we were doing that because we was all playing at a young age. So, you know, like I said, with him just being so fiery, and, you know, people just see him on the field as being flashy and do that, but technically around us, he really wasn't. It was kind of more of like a boxer who you have to sell that image. You know what I'm saying? And he did a great job of doing that and selling himself. And he was definitely a fiery guy, but he's not conceited and cocky and that it's all about me. He is not that type of person. You know, he is really a team player, and he wanted to win and be the best and help put South Carolina on the map. And I think that's what he did.
And you're able to give a sense into certain guys like that. And you played with a number of individuals who laid it all on the line week after week to make sure those teams would be remembered. Take us inside the locker room at Carolina in those early 90s, in those days when you played. What would maybe surprise some folks about the makeup of those teams?
Probably that we were so close-knit. I mean, you know, I don't know how our teams are now, but I know people got a lot of other stuff and extra stuff to do. You know, it wasn't an offensive and defensive team. You know, we are all one team, you know, and we got to push each other to be the best, you know what I'm saying, that we could be. We had a lot of leaders on that team that probably didn't get the notoriety like a lot of people got who was in the spotlight. We was out there, we was pushing each other past limits, and that's the thing. They pushed me to be great. I pushed them to be great. We pushed each other. So we don't take care of each other, because at the end of the day, we was all great friends. We all hung out with each other. You know, ethics, you know, color was not an issue. We hung with everybody. We was in everybody's room. That's the thing. Because one thing about sports, you learn, nobody cares who scores a touchdown. what color they are. Nobody cares who's blocking for you, what color they are. We drink out of the same water bottle. We do everything. We eat together. So we had such a great time because of the great knit of family that we had more than teammates. We were family.
We talked about some of the moments that you remember from your high school playing days. Give us a moment or two that stand out from your career in Columbia.
Well, the first one I'm going to jump off the bat was just running out the tunnel. The first time I ever come out of 2001, I remember me, Terry Weber, and most of all the freshmen. We started from out that end zone and ran 100 yards before the game started. It was 100 miles an hour. The energy was just high. I mean, it was just so awesome to run out that tunnel, for the very first time. But then once we started playing that first game we played against Duke and just being on the field for the first time, and they actually had a snapshot in the newspaper of my mom actually holding, my daughter and all my people was there representing, which was great. Going to Death Valley and actually beating Clemson at Clemson was just a great opportunity. Beating Tennessee at home, on Halloween, we gave them a trick instead of a treat, is what I tell them. And then LSU, playing at LSU, the difference is playing at Williams-Brice was great, but actually go to those other stadiums that you hear about, that you hear the great Death Valley of LSU and not Clemson. Going there and had a great game against LSU and beating them was something that was tremendous. Beating Clemson the last game of the year, actually the regular season game before we went to the bowl game, and actually have a chance to go to the bowl game and winning Carolina's first ever bowl game was a great time we had down there. We had a lot of following when, Gamecocks going to follow the Gamecocks. We just had a great time down there in Florida. Again, we did a lot of stuff that was team oriented, but then we got to go out together as friends and do different things. But just savoring those moments, but we knew we was there for business. We knew we was there. We had to take care of some things, and that's exactly what we did. We came together as a unit, and we came out there, and we were successful and won the first bowl game ever.
And let's go back in time for just a moment and revisit that. Walk us through the emotions and really how much you've held on to this very day, being a part of that group that was able to bring a bowl victory to South Carolina for the very first time.
Thing that we just remember, like, hey, this is our last run. We've been in this for a long time. Just the meetings. I was one of the captains and just sitting there and just telling those guys, hey, man, this is it. We're not 11-0 and whatever, but we can go out here and play this game like a national championship. And that's what we did. At one point in the season, our offense was not clicking on all cylinders. Our defense was playing well. And then what happened, the offense started picking up, and then our defense didn't play well. So we didn't blame each other. They couldn't blame us for the first losses of the season. We could blame them for the last loss of the season. But we never did that. We just knew we had a goal in mind. We had not been to a bowl game, and we had the opportunity to go just by beating Clemson, which that was like, hey, this is the icing on the cake. So we went down there, we handled that business, and then when we get together now, it's just like, man, we had such a great time down there. But then again, the more thing is about coming together as one unit, moving as one unit, and winning as one unit. And that's what we did. We just come out there. We was never down. We never thought we was going to lose that game. We knew we was going to be in for a fight. But we was capable enough when we was ready to fight. We had been fighting since we stepped at the University of South Carolina, whether it was getting playing time or playing against other teams. So we was built for it, and we was ready for it. And we just went out there and showcased it, and we won the ball game.
Historic moment that nobody can take away. That much is sure. All right, I'm going to throw some words at you, and I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind when I throw these words your direction. Let's start with the city where you played your college football. How about Columbia?
Exciting. It was just an exciting place, just to be at that particular time in my life. Just coming from Emma to going to Columbia, just exciting.
Garnet and black.
It's prestigious colors. They mean a lot to me. You see the garnet and black, I have it in a lot of my colors and stuff that I wear. But it's just prestigious. Something about that garnet and black that just stands out more than anything.
Williams-Brice Stadium.
That was just refreshing. Just excitement to go in there. It's every time I stepped on that field to see 80-some thousand people in that stands. It's just something that amazes me every time I go. No matter, during my career, Clemson sometimes had 50,000, other people 50,000, but we always had 80. So it was just exciting.
You were a part of that group that led Carolina into the SEC, playing against some of those powers that they're now familiar with playing.
It was very challenging going against great athletes all over the world that came there. But it was so fun because you got to play against the best. So playing against the best is what I wanted to do. And just by us going to that conference, it was just so awesome to go and play against some of the greats that you see playing on television and got to make it to the NFL and say, well, hey, I did this to them and did that to them. So it was great.
When I just say the word touchdown, what comes to mind?
The first one, I scored the first touchdown ever for South Carolina in the SEC. We was playing Arkansas. And so when you think of touchdowns, I scored them against some other teams. But that first one against Arkansas was probably one of the most special because it's something that's in the record books that nobody could ever score the first touchdown ever in the SEC besides me. So that's something that can't be taken away, and it's something that I truly just imagine. I love it.
You have given so much of your life to the game of football. What do you feel like football has given Toby Cates?
As football has given me definitely teamwork. It showed me teamwork. It showed me dedication. It showed me hard work. It showed me preservation. It showed me, battling through injuries. It showed me that if I can get through this, then I can get through anything. I say this a lot of times now. If I can get up in the morning and go lift weights and I'm hurt, if I can do this, then me just going to work in a job, me just doing something just simple for 8 hours, I know I can do. It has given me a lot of memories, no heartache from the sport at all, even from the injuries, but no heartache. It's nothing that I would do different, as far as coming back. I take my career for what it was, and take it for what it is because I know I gave effort. And it just showed me, like I say, just love. It just showed me that no matter where somebody's from or no matter what title that somebody came in, quote unquote, now people are 3 stars or 4 stars, it doesn't matter. If you continue to work and you continue to work hard and be blessed and keep doing what you're doing, that you can do it. Same thing I tell my kids now. I train kids now and I tell them, I said, I make them do an exercise at the end and I get one person to come up and always do the cool down. One girl said, I'm not doing this anymore. I said, yes, you are. She said, no, I'm not. I said, I'm going to ask you a question. I said, do you want to be an executive or CEO of a company? She said, yeah. I said, well, how do you think you're going to do that if you can't get up here and talk in front of people? I said, you talking in front of your peers right now. I don't care if you mess up and they do laugh. I'm setting you up for something greater down the road. So if you can get up here in front of your peers and you can talk and you can do this right here, I said, what I teach is more than this sport because this sport is not going to last you forever. So you're going to have to take certain things from this sport and take it and apply it to things in life. And so she looked at me, and the next time she did it last week, her eyes are so big, and she walked right up in there and she did it. I said, that's the future CEO. And so that's what I'm saying. Certain things that you take from this sport, you got to take it and apply it for life for later on. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you may strike out 3 times, but then the next time you get up, you hit a home run or you get a base hit or you do different things. You're going to strike out. You're going to have down times. You're going to have stuff that's not going to work in your favor. But knowing at the end that you don't put in the time and you don't done everything, in the end, it's going to be okay.
Well, and for those of us who know you, that's one of the great lessons of your life, how everything is preparation for the future and everything comes together in order to bring you to those moments. And if you've done the preparation, if you've put in the hard work, if you are, as you've said, mentally tough, and you've chosen ahead of time the way you're going to handle those moments, you find yourself prepared for them. As you look back across your career and we get ready to wrap this interview in the next few moments, what's the accomplishment or accomplishments, if you want to point to maybe a few of them, that you are most proud of both in your career and in your life, Toby?
A couple of accomplishments that come to mind is probably Player of the Year. That was great. Being Athlete of the Year. The USA Today Athlete of the Year for the state of South Carolina. Many people don't know that. And just that accomplishment was just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? This individual just out of the whole state, I was picked as the Athlete of the Year for the state of South Carolina. It's just like truly amazing. And then actually getting my jersey retired was a big accomplishment that they put up and saying basically, I'm trying to say that you're one of the greatest. That was truly something big. I had some friends, Brandon Bennett and Tony Walker, that actually came to the ceremony. And it's a big picture they had in the paper, me and my mother, actually holding up a jersey. Probably in college, being named captain at South Carolina, that's something that's been enshrined, and that was great being voted by my teammates as that right there. So, those accomplishments that I've done as far as that is, it's really been special to me. And the only other thing that I have that's probably the most important to me is my college degree. That's about the only thing I have left, that I put on the wall. I put all my plaques in boxes, they're boxed and stored away. It's really not about me. A lot of people, they know me, say Toby, and then they never click that my name is Toby Cates. Some people are like, you're not the Toby Cates. I said, I don't know what the is. My name is just Toby Cakes. You saying the like I'm somebody special. I don't know. My name is just Toby Cakes. But why you didn't tell me that? Why should I have to tell you that? If I tell you who I am and where I played, you'll look at me different. I'd rather for you to like me for who I am. That was a great thing when I worked at Spinks. And it was like, why you didn't tell me you was like, say, Toby Cakes? I want you to know me for who I am. The person that you see, that's who I am. And I think that has been the key, to a lot of people. But I used to have people come out of my way. And the main thing they said was, I was feeling down today. But I knew if I came in this store and I seen you, I know that you would be smiling and you would give me something that was uplifting, that was going to help me along my way and make me feel better. A lot of people didn't know I was a football player or I played at Carolina. They hear me talking about football all the time. They never knew that. They just said I was a staple because of Toby, not Toby Cakes. That's a difference. You know what I'm saying?
An amazing perspective. The difference in who we are as individuals and what we may do with our lives, and certainly worth remembering for each and every one of us. I would say this, just finishing up on that point you made, which I think is one of the greatest points of the whole interview, is you're the same Toby Cates. Whether you're the Toby Cates or not, the same Toby Cates, and who we are as individuals certainly superseding anything that we may do athletically or otherwise. You mentioned your jersey and having it retired. You were fortunate enough to wear number 12 both in high school and in college. It's hard to put into words sometimes the connection between an athlete and the number that they wear. What did number 12 mean to you originally? Why did you pick it? And what has it come to mean to you being number 12?
Well, I wanted number 1, but they didn't have one at Chapman. Most of my friends, we had single digit numbers. They was 4, 5, 6, so 3, 4, and 5. So I said, well, we the Migos, more than Migos before. So I said, I wanted 2, didn't have a number. I wanted 1, didn't have a number. So I said, well, what's the only number? So I was thinking, looking at the quarterback number, and I was like, well, I'll just take 12. So I took 12, it's a combination of 1 and 2, what I'm saying? So I took it. So I took 12 and started playing with 12 and started doing things. And then was fortunate enough, like I said, when I went to college, that they gave me 12 also. Terry Whitman said, hey, man, I went down to Carolina, man, seeing our lockers. I said, oh, you did see it? He said, man, you wearing number 12. I was like, yeah. So that was just great, just playing 12 and doing stuff. And then, 12 just became like special. You got to do something. If you wearing 12, you got to be special. It's like I become a different person when I walk on that field. It's what I meant. You know what I'm saying? It's like an alter ego. It's not, Toby Cakes can't do those things, but 12 can. 12 can do anything. You know what I'm trying to say? On that football field, on these fields, 12 can do something different. And after that, every jersey I had, playing a softball or anything else, I wanted 12. And, it just became a part of me. And then once on the field, it's 12. Once I come off, I'm Toby.
When all is said and all is done, Toby, how does Toby Cates hope to be remembered?
I just want to be remembered as a great person, period, point blank. Whether I played sports or not, that's really not important to me. The only thing is that, I was a great person and I gave my all and I try to make people smile and try to make them happy. And I'm an uplifter. That's what I am. I try to edify people and I'm an uplifter. That's what I want them to know, that I'm trying to make them be the best person that they can be. And if it's through a smile or through a speech or doing something, just being in their presence, that's the most blessing that I want people to have.